It's been a couple of weeks since the last tour around the garden, so let's just see what's going on now. So before we start, I just want to show you what's going on in here. So these are my potatoes. So some of you might know, I've got another plot that I have borrowed from somebody down the road. It's not particularly big, but it does mean that I can grow more potatoes, and usually I just grow salad ones, so I'm quite excited because I can actually grow some main crop ones and have quite a good harvest going, hopefully. These ones have absolutely gone mad shitting in the bag. So these are Duke of Yorks. They are a first early. They should be going in the ground shortly. I've got Nicola, which are second earlies, and then main crops. I've got King Edward and then Pink Fir. These I've grown several times before in buckets. They're kind of knobbly and they have a really lovely nutty flavour. They're kind of like a salad potato, but they're really nice. And what else do I want to show you? So this is my seaweed concentrate. This is actually from Big Plant Nurseries down in Ashington in West Sussex. You basically mix a very small amount of that, which I've measured out in my little mustard pot here, into a watering can, and then feed your plants through the summer. It's a really lovely, really good feed that. Right, let's have a look at what's going on. I guess the beds, not really much since I last showed you. I haven't really sown anything. The wind destroyed all my fleece coverings, as you can see, and I had a mole, and you can see these onions are really looking quite poor. These were overwintered. But they're looking pretty bad, and to be honest, I've kind of given up on them a bit. There is some garlic under here, which is what I want to try and show you. So hopefully you can see there is some garlic that's come up and some onions that don't look too bad, but I've sown a lot more already, so they're ready to go in the ground. So they'll replace those, and I'll replace all this ripped fleece as well. And you see there the mole hills. Now the mole has gone, and what I'll need to do is just collapse those burrows, just rake it over. It's all looking a bit of a mess. My paths aren't really lined up very well at the minute. You can see the pathways here, but I do need to get some more wood chip down, so it just needs a bit of a tidy, but there's plenty of time to do that. This is looking quite good. This is garlic. This one's called Rhapsody, and I've also got Picardy white there. Some leftover fennel, and in the pots here is some elephant garlic. Now the plot that I'm using up the road has got all my other elephant garlic, but I just thought I'd leave these ones in pots and see how they do. You can see on the bottom the root growth is coming out, but I just want to experiment really. I've got some broad beans. These still look small, but they are growing quite well. Can you see like the flush of green there? They look super healthy. It's amazing compost and soil I've given. It was mulched at the beginning of the year with cow manure and my own homemade compost, so a few weeds are starting to come up, but yeah, it's looking pretty healthy. This is kale, now starting to flower. I'll probably leave that to flower now, and I can hopefully collect the seeds and also give some much needed food to the insects that will want it at this time of the year. Broccoli, it's not really doing very much. I'm not really sure what's going on with it, to be honest. It's sort of, oh, there we go. So we are getting little bits coming now. Can you see that there? So yeah, give it a couple of weeks, I guess, and they should be ready to do some harvesting. It's purple sprouting broccoli. I've got a rose bed. That again, nothing really much going on with that. I've planted some hyssop here. Now this I sowed last year from seeds. If you're on my subscriptions, you'll be getting some hyssop as part of your monthly subscription at some point through the year. It's a really lovely plant for bees, beautiful flower, and really good to eat, and it's a perennial. So this has just been planted up from last year's stocks, and hopefully they will get bigger and stronger this year as well. Now down the side of the greenhouse I've got like a little, I guess it's my annual flower border. So this sort of section here gets planted up. This section here gets planted up with all sorts of things, whatever I fancy at the time. It's mainly, obviously I've got my rose bed here, and I've got some perennials. You can see I've got poppies, I've got some erigeron and some asters in here and some echinaceas, but I've interplant it. There's some foxgloves there, and there's actually a load of teasel that's self-seeded, which is great, although you don't want too much teasel because it just goes mad. But this, and you can see, oh, the other thing is all along here is Verbena bonariensis, which is self-seeded. So you can see all the way along this pathway, it just looks amazing in the summer. But essentially I plant it up with annuals as well in between the gaps. So all these roses, you know, they're old. They do give some stunning flowers, but they then get black spot, and then they look all weak and pathetic, and they just look a bit crappy, really. So I interfill it with Cosmos, and you'll have seen on my grid on my Instagram post that this just looks amazing in the summer. It is just full of colour and absolutely teeming with bees and butterflies. It's lovely. Right, let's just go into the greenhouse. So it's pretty cold outside today. It's what, the 8th of March, I think. The temperature inside the greenhouse at the moment is reading 7. It was 3 last night. And I haven't really sown anything more than I think I showed last time. So things that are left in the bed, a bit of chervil, and this is some rocket wasabi and standard salad rocket that has literally gone to seed now. So I'm just leaving that for pollinators. Now there was some spinach down here. There you go, there's some spinach here. That's still lovely to harvest, and in fact that's still growing. I have sown some more, but that's overwintered from last year. Couple of pots here with limnanthes. That's the poached eggplant. That has self-seeded all over the garden, which I'll show you later. But it's kind of like it looks exactly as it says on the tin. It looks like a poached egg, but absolutely adored by hoverflies. So and it's like a low spreading plant. It's really pretty. Right, so over here, so these plants on here are not on heat at all. They've been on heat to germinate, and they have come off heat now. So they're just sat in the greenhouse on trays. They're all sat on top of capillary matting, and that's how I water. So I just bottom water, and the capillary matting is still damp, so I know that the plants are absolutely fine. So probably you can see, yeah, all the roots are poking out the bottom, so they just soak up what they need from that capillary matting. So sweet peas, only sown, well, some of them actually were sown, when were these sown? Oh, that's not Thai chili. 6th of November, and some of them were sown this year, so they are coming along. These ones were just sown on the 12th of February, and this one, for example, was sown last year, and I've pinched it out, looking lovely and healthy, nice and bushy. Spinach, sown on the 12th of February. So this was sown into the modules that you can see, and multi-sown. So several seeds per module, and they'll be planted out like that, so no need to thin them. I've got some borage, which is one of my favourite flowers to grow, adored by the bees, and obviously you can eat that, which is great. Calendula, some of this calendula has failed, as you can see here, not doing so well. These were quite weeny when I pricked them out, so maybe I just pricked them out a little bit too early, but obviously I've got some growing fine. And then these are onions and spring onions. You can see they're all looking lovely. Oh, they look so good like that. Now ideally they kind of need to go out, but I'm just debating whether to plant them out today and cover them in fleece, or to wait till I get back off holiday. I'm actually away next week, so I'm kind of away at the one of the most crucial sowing times of the year. It doesn't really matter. I get back on the 20th, so I can sow then, but it's kind of that mid-March section is quite a good time to sow things. Interestingly, these broad beans have been sown in shop-bought peat-free compost mixed with my own compost, and that's just a weed. They failed, so I am not sure what's happened there, but these have been sown. When did they get sown? the 20th of February. Now, there's not a peep on that, so that's an ultimate failure, and I'm going to resow some of those today. You've seen the ones in the ground, but yeah, I no idea why they haven't done anything. Quite disappointing. Lettuce, you'll have seen a video previously on YouTube. This is the lettuce that was pricked out last week. Now already, look how healthy it's looking. So from 2 leaves, a lot of them have got 3 leaves. They're in a 50-50 mix of vermiculite and compost, which they love. They don't like being waterlogged at all. And again, they're on, well, I can't show you, it's too difficult to pick up, but they're on capillary matting. This is, I don't know how I pronounce it, Corinthi, gorgeous plant. They're obviously growing fine, and they'll be planted out. They'll stay in their modules till they're ready to be planted out. And here's some lettuce that I should really actually prick out that didn't get done last time. So that's Marvel of 4 Seasons. And this one is Winter Density. So they really should be planted out. This here is my pea drain pipe. So it's a bit of guttering. I've got a video to upload shortly about how I do this, but essentially once the peas are sown into this piece of guttering, the idea is that you can create a trench in your bed, and then you can push the soil straight out. So they get planted out, as you can see. You don't need to like lift the plants out of this. You can just push it. Everything on here is in a hotbed. So I tend to uncover it in the morning and then cover it up at night. The temperature is a lovely 23. And everything that's got these covers on are chillies and aubergines, so they really like to stay nice and snug. The rest of them are fine, just sat on heat. This is, so we've got beetroot here, sown on the 12th of Feb. I've got some herbs, lemongrass, I've got comfrey, bergamot, dill, a bit of red basil. Now that was a bit of an experiment, just to prove that you shouldn't really sow basil too early in the year. That is rubbish germination. I kind of knew it would be, but I couldn't help myself. Summer savoury and some parsley that's growing there. These are some phlox, some more Corinthians, and the leftover tray of Calendula that you saw I'd pricked out earlier. So there's some more coming up here. So I'm going to leave those again, and they'll be a bit stronger before I prick them out. And excitingly, Echinacea, which can sometimes be a bit tricky to germinate, is coming up. Can you see? I don't know if that's in focus. These 2 little leaves. So this is all Echinaceas. So I'm going to leave those till they get a bit bigger before I touch them. I've got some scabious here, snapdragons, and what else is there? Some erigeron and some rudbeckia. That's all just starting to germinate. I think you can just see the green of the erigeron there. That's can be really tricky to germinate. It takes absolutely ages, but be patient with it, and don't cover it. So the seed here, you probably can't see, but is just laying on the top. So keep the seed moist, but don't cover it with any compost. Just leave it open to the light. Nasturtiums. These were sown quite early, to be honest, but they have sat on a hotbed and they'll stay here till the weather warms up. They're growing quite happily. And then let's lift this up. So in here we've got peppers, some aubergines growing there. And the same for all these. They are lots of different types. Yeah, they're all looking really good. They're starting to get another set of leaves on, and they'll stay in here at least till I get back off holiday before I pop them on. If you can lift the module out from the bottom and it holds together with a good strong root growth around it, then you can pot it on. But at the moment, those are too small to pot on. Same over here. So I've got a little heat mat, just a cheap, crappy one I bought from Amazon. Just there, you can see the wire there. It's just sat on there, capillary matting. And again, this is just for a little bit of extra heat containment. So I've got some basils. They're starting to self-seed, starting to germinate there. Parsley, got some more basil here. So with basil, don't sow it too early, only sow it if you've got heat. It really won't tolerate being cold at all. Coriander, oh, sorry, that was me dropping something. It's not very good trying to record with one hand. Yeah, these are different types of coriander, and I've got some sorrel. And lastly, over here, I've got some onion sets or shallot sets. I've never done this before. I've seen it done, so I'm trying it this time. These are sown into a module once they've germinated, so they will, or once they've set their roots down, they'll send up some shoots, and then I can plant them out into the ground. It just gives, for me, I'm just going to see if it gives them a better chance of, yeah, I just want to see what happens really, compared to just putting them straight in the ground. I haven't done any sets in the ground at all. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. And these are cornflowers. So things have moved on. There's quite a lot of growth. There's some things that aren't doing quite so well. I'm a bit worried about leaving them all for a week, but I think I think they'll all be fine. It's only another 10 days. As long as my neighbour who's looking after my plants can make sure they're watered, I think we should be okay. Lastly, I just want to show you what's going on over here. So I've got a trug. This has garlic in, so I like to experiment with where I put garlic. For some reason in the bed over there, which is over there, sometimes they're quite small, the bulbs, so I get quite a lot of success in this area. These are actually shop bought organic garlic, again as a bit of an experiment, as opposed to buying from the garlic farm, which is where I normally get them. And I don't know what type they are, obviously, but they seem to be looking pretty healthy. I've got some alliums that are growing in pots here, and the cold frame, which tends to house all the vegetables before they go out into the garden. This is full at the moment of echinaceas, which are over there. Got some asters, lilies, and some dahlias. This cold frame is an absolute dream. My father-in-law built it for me, just from some old windows we had, and some planks. It's just a godsend. It's really good for, you know, you can just protect your plants a little bit more before you plant them out. And as I said, a lot of the plants I plant out at this time of year, like those onions, I'll cover with some fleece first, so it just gives them a bit of a head start and protects them mainly from wind. They don't really mind the cold so much, but it's the wind, and it is quite bitey at the moment, so we shall do that. Anyway, so enough waffling. Hope you enjoyed the tour, and as I said, I'm away next week, so I'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks.